Good day, everyone. My name is Hsin. I'm from National Taiwan Normal University in Taiwan. My field of research is Pragmatic and teaching Chinese as a second language. The title of my research is Semantic, Discourse, and Pragmatic Analyses of zaishuo and zaizhe in Chinese, with applications to teaching Chinese as a second language. Today, I will briefly present the main findings of this study. The study focused on near synonymous pair zaishuo and zaizhe. When examining dictionary definitions and example sentences, I found that the two expressions are often treated as interchangeable. Their definitions frequently overlapped, and dictionaries rarely explain their differences. However, previous studies have mainly focused on the distinction between 而且 and 再说, while systematic research comparing zaishuo and zaizhe remains limited. This study addresses three research questions. First, what semantic functions categorize zaishuo and zaizhe? Second, is there subject continuity between the clauses connected by these two expressions? Third, do zaishuo and zaizhe differ in their register preferences? The data used in this study were drawn from Academia Sinica Corpus 4.0. A corpus-based approach was adopted to compare the usage of zaishuo and zaizhe. The analysis focused on three dimensions: semantic functions, discourse features, and pragmatic categories. Specifically, I examined their semantic meanings, subject continuity between connected clauses, and register preference in actual language use. The findings were then applied to Chinese language teaching. The semantic comparison reveals a clear distinction. The semantic focus of zaishuo is multiple parallel factors. It is typically used to add supplementary reasons beyond the primary reasons. In contrast, the semantic focus of zaizhe is argument progressions. Rather than adding a new reasons, it further develops or strengthens the same line of reasoning. Therefore, zaishuo is characterized by horizontal addition, whereas zaizhe is characterized by vertical progressions. These examples illustrate the difference. In case of zaishuo, the second clause introduced an additional reason that is parallel to the first one. The relationship can therefore be described as horizontal additions. By contrast, zaizhe develops the preceding argument and pushes the discussion one step further. This creates a vertical progressive relationship between the two clauses. The discourse analysis focuses on subject continuity. For zaishuo, subject continuity is generally low. The connected clauses often involve different subjects because the expression introduces additional information from another perspective. For zaizhe, subject continuity is generally high. Since both clauses develop the same topic, the same subject is usually maintained. Thus, subject discontinuity is a characteristic feature of zaishuo, whereas subject continuity is a characteristic feature of zaizhe. These examples further demonstrate the difference. In the example containing zaishuo, the subjects before and after the expression are different. However, in example containing zaizhe, the same subject is maintained across the connected clauses. These findings support the discourse distinction identified in the corpus. The pragmatic analysis reveals a clear register contrast. Zaishuo is predominantly used in spoken Chinese. It frequently appears in daily conversations, films, television dramas, and fictional dialogue. By contrast, zaizhe is primarily used in written Chinese. It is commonly found in official documents, public notice, and other forms of formal writing. Therefore, zaishuo is associated with spoken discourse, whereas zaizhe is associated with formal written discourse. The corpus examples clearly reflect this register difference. The example containing zaishuo comes from a conversational context and displays features typical of spoken interactions. In contrast, the example containing zaizhe comes from a formal written context and demonstrates a more structured and logical style. To summarize the findings, the distinction between zaishuo and zaizhe can be observed at three levels. Semantically, zaishuo expresses topic additions, whereas zaizhe expresses argument progressions. At the discourse level, zaishuo tends to involve subject shifts, while zaizhe tends to maintain subject continuity. Pragmatically, zaishuo is associated with spoken language, whereas zaizhe is associated with written language. Although both function as adverbs, they are not interchangeable. Based on these findings, several pedagogical implications can be proposed. Teachers should explicitly teach the semantic distinction between the two expressions. They should also emphasize subject continuity as an important cue for appropriate usage. In addition, learners should be made aware of the registered differences between spoken and written contexts. These strategies may help reduce confusion and improve learners' communicative competence. In conclusion, zaishuo and zaizhe should be regarded as near synonymous rather than true synonymous. Their differences can be explained from semantic, discourse, and pragmatic perspectives. The corpus evidence demonstrates systematic distinctions between the two forms. Most importantly, the contrast can be summarized as horizontal additions versus vertical progressions. The findings contribute not only to Chinese linguistics, but also to teaching Chinese as a second language, pedagogy. Before I conclude, the key references and corpus source used in this study are listed here. Finally, thank you very much for your attention.